The next step is roadmap. The roadmap is an implementation plan, and that implementation plan I know a lot of people struggle with because it's about changing behavior. So how do you make a plan for how to change how people work day to day? And that may be another topic. We may go through one of these examples. We have many examples here at IDCON, but it comes down to a lot of training, management follow-up, and on-the-job coaching. And what I typically see is that we train, we have some follow-up, but we don't have that individual coaching in the field. So we're talking to the team all the time, but nobody actually goes down and sits with a planner and checks with a planner. Do you actually get 80% of your time planning? Planner's answer may be, no, I'm running to meetings all the time. I don't plan anything. But very few people notice that sometimes because we don't follow up with the individual. You need to get to the individual. That roadmap, I think you need a best practice training, whether it's in-house or if it's somebody like IDCON that does that, because people need to know where is it that we're trying to go. And then you sit down and make the implementation plan, operations and maintenance jointly again. So we have 2 steps here that requires operations, maintenance, stores, in some cases, even engineering interface. The next step, as I mentioned, phase 2 is actually to do the workflows. So we do design the workflows, and I'm going to show you some examples. It has to be aligned with the CMMS, et cetera, but really focus on what people are doing day to day. Who's doing the scheduling? Who's doing the screening of work requests? Who's doing the prioritization? Who has the final say-so with prioritization, et cetera, et cetera. Those things need to be completely clear. The next step is procedures. I separate the workflows and procedures. For example, I would have a box in my workflow, in our workflow says planning. That's a pretty advanced box. It's just one box, the planner does planning, but then I may have an instruction manual behind explaining, how do I do planning? That could be, 5-10 pages saying, okay, first we need what? Look at the job, then we do this, we take the pictures, we put the data here. It could be an instruction manual for how to do that in the CMMS, whatever CMMS you have. So those procedures need to be attached to the workflows. Like that's more, how do you do a certain task? That could be a little bit of work. Typically that is an ongoing thing that goes on for 6 to 8 months to get all those processes. When people work with us, we have a lot of those procedures, but we don't have them all because we don't have all the CMMSs. We don't have all the people do things a little bit differently. Some people divide up planning and scheduling. Some have the same people doing it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little bit of tweaking there. The next thing, when we start implementing, so these 4 steps is kind of preparation. At this point, we haven't changed anything in the plant, which is frustrating. So you need to try to work through these things fairly quickly, but you still need to cement them, because in this point, we just talked about how we're going to do things. We haven't actually gone out and implemented. This step, but going out and implementing, is where most that I work with myself, that's where we have a disconnect.